Hello and welcome. We have two bits of news to talk about in regards to Bethesda. One of them relates to Starfield, and the other relates to an older game that Bethesda made. Both of these stories, I am going to start off by saying, are extremely speculative, so take it with a grain of salt. These things may not come to fruition, and they may end up coming to fruition much differently than I wildly speculate on. But we're going to go ahead and focus on the facts, then do our speculation afterwards. But let's get started with the first story, which is going to be about Bethesda. So this morning, I saw numerous posts from people basically stating that there was a mod on the Starfield creations that had a PlayStation logo on it. So, as we can see here, this is Starfield News on X reporting it as well. I did go out and confirm this myself. It was a decal mod that did have a PlayStation logo on the bottom, saying that it was available for PlayStation. It was promptly taken down from the Creation Store. People also noticed that if you adjusted the URL, that you were able to basically search PlayStation mods for Starfield. The one popped up. This has since been corrected. But what exactly does this mean? Does this mean, PlayStation is getting Starfield and Creations? Quite possibly. But it also could mean that the back end of their website wasn't working properly and a flag from Skyrim got applied to a Starfield game because within the creations for Skyrim, you can flag stuff as available for PlayStation. So this could just be an error on their website. So that's where I want to just say, take this with a grain of salt. But let's start speculating here. So when Starfield originally launched and Todd Howard was talking about it, I'm going to quote him. I don't know exactly when he said this, but it was before Starfield's launch. And he said, Starfield is going to be an Xbox exclusive launch. And I want to focus on the phrase exclusive launch. What does that mean? That means that the game will launch exclusively to Xbox. That doesn't mean the game's going to be exclusively for Xbox. So I don't think it was ever their intention to have Starfield solely on Xbox, but to launch it on Xbox. Now, why would you do this? To boost Xbox sales. This is just a simple business decision. You go ahead, you launch it on the Xbox to boost sales for that particular piece of hardware. You monitor internal metrics, and then when that boost in sales declines back to normal sales amounts, that's when you go ahead and launch it on PlayStation. Now, we're over a year into the lifespan of Starfield. I don't think that at this point in time they are actually seeing much of a boost, or if any, from Starfield. So I would say it is probably pretty likely that Starfield will get over to the PlayStation. Now, was this some kind of error where they, set this all up in the back end and didn't have it ready for launch, and maybe some, website developer accidentally published the option and some mod author saw it and then decided to select it? Quite possibly. This could have been an accidental leak. That is particularly what I'm leaning towards. I think this was an accidental leak. I don't think this was an intentional leak. Also, in particular, if I think this was a bug on their website, I think Bethesda probably would have came out and kind of quelled the rumors that are sprouting up about this. But because they're being rather quiet about the whole ordeal, I think it very much was an accidental leak. So I honestly, I expect, probably within the coming months to weeks, we might see Starfield launched on the PlayStation with Creations. Now, I don't know how Creations is going to play out on the PlayStation. Whether it's going to, you'll be able to buy Creations there, or are they going to be solely free? This is going to be something that needs to be worked out between Bethesda and PlayStation, and Bethesda's parent company, Microsoft, as well. Because I'm sure that if you start buying stuff on a PlayStation is going to want a cut of the transaction. So there's going to have to come to some kind of negotiating terms on that to make sure that they're able to facilitate these transactions. Hopefully what we end up seeing is either Bethesda or Microsoft takes a little bit of a haircut. PlayStation takes a little bit of a cut from the transaction itself, probably a small nominal percentage, and then the consumers and the mod authors don't see a difference in how much they're paying or how much they're being paid out. That, I think, would be probably the most optimal solution, but we'll see how it kind of pans out if and when Starfield does come to PlayStation and there all are Creations available for them. I would highly suspect, they would want to make some kind of deal with PlayStation, and PlayStation 2 would also want to make some kind of deal, because this is it would be easy money for PlayStation to take a small percentage of like every transaction that occurred on Creations, not to mention Bethesda takes a little bit of a cut, and then the mod authors take a little bit of a cut. But overall, if this does come to fruition, I do see this as a very beneficial thing to particularly the mod authors. Why do I see this as a hugely beneficial thing? It's because there are a lot more people with PlayStations than there are with Xboxes. This opens up the market substantially to mod authors to be able to, sell their mods for reasonable, fair prices. What does this mean? You get more volume sales. Mod authors can charge a little bit less and still make the same amount of money that they would make off their mods. It becomes a little bit more supportive to the mod author themselves, and they feel like spending a little bit more time making mods. We get more great mods, and it helps grow the community itself. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. So, our next topic, you're probably wondering why we've been watching Oblivion for, 10 minutes or so. That's because there is a rumored remake of Oblivion coming out. So this is rumored to be made by a Chinese company. It starts with a V. I'll put it in the description. It's not that important, but here we can see a lovely post from Nate the Hate, which is basically stating, that we are probably going to get a surprise drop next month in April, possibly May. Where Bethesda is going to shadow drop this. Now, this was also corroborated by Video Game Chronicler, which did write up an article where they talked to some insiders for the company that is doing this remaster. Now, they had a little bit more details than Nate does here. Basically, they got into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of how this remaster, this remake is going to work. So, from what I understand and grasp, that this remaster is going to be on the Unreal Engine 5. At least the visuals will be, but a lot of the back end, like the game mechanics, etc., like the physics, is going to be on the original Oblivion engine. Now, what I'm going to also say is this is all kind of wildly speculative. We have an anonymous source that's reporting to Video Game Chronicler. We have Nate the Hate that's also reporting this as well. I did look into Nate's past a little bit, so he does have some leaks out there that he's done in the past that did come to fruition and were true, so this is highly likely. And then there's also a third bit of evidence. So when Bethesda was being bought by Microsoft, they did have to present to the judge that oversaw this purchase basically a business plan for like the next 5 to 10 years. I forget what the deal was, but a remake of Oblivion was on that, and that was an official court document. Now we do have to take this with kind of a little bit of a, you know, grain of sand on this one as well, because just because it was planned doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. But because I guess where I'm coming at is this might not come to fruition, but I think it's highly likely that we are going to see an Oblivion remake. But let's go ahead and get back into the speculation that Video Game Chronicler was telling us about. So we're going to have the visuals are going to be handled by the Unreal Engine, and then the original Oblivion engine itself is going to be handling the back end, the game mechanics, the physics, etc. What I really have questions about is this going to be compatible with the creation kit? Now, because it's using the original Oblivion engine, I don't think it's going to be compatible with the same creation kit that is used for Starfield. But the creation kits that we use for the older games, like Oblivion, it should be compatible with, or possibly compatible with. I'm not sure how it's all going to function with the visuals being handled by the Unreal Engine, but this should mean that if it is compatible, that a lot of the older mods that were made for Bethesda should be able to be ported over to this if they choose to support mods. But this is highly speculative. I really wouldn't bank on this being able to be modded. And even if it is modded, any kind of like textures or visuals will have to be redone because it's being handled by the Unreal Engine instead of the original Oblivion engine. But like back end things like game mechanics and physics, anything that's modding those aspects, potentially you could see a direct port over to this new Oblivion remake that's coming out. That's if it comes out. I'm gonna lean on the side that it probably is, considering, you know, we have three sources. We have that court document, we have Nate the Hate, we have Video Game Chronicler, and they're kind of all reporting rather similar things, that this is going to be coming out. Now, a while back, this was looking like this was going to be midsummer, but that apparently that date has been pushed up to next month, possibly the month after, with a shadow drop. Why would they be pushing this schedule forward? I will tell you why. Grand Theft Auto, that is scheduled to come out, and that is going to eclipse any games that come out within close proximity. So either they have to wait probably a year, because people are going to be playing that like crazy for about a year before, you know, people start to cool off on it, or they have to push the schedule forward and get it out before the game does, with enough time to get, you know, sufficient sales to kind of cover the cost of the game. And that's why they would push it forward. So at least I would say my expectations with this is I'm expecting probably no initial mod support, maybe maybe a couple months after launch, we'll see some kind of like creation kit come out that's able to support this game. There's going to be some changes that do need to occur to the original creation kit with this. Mainly, updating it for the visuals with Unreal Engine 5 and doing some updates like that. But as far as like what am I expecting gameplay wise, I am expecting basically updated visuals with the same game. I hope they kept the original voice acting, the original quests. I hope they didn't redo everything. Me personally, I would just like to play Oblivion with updated graphics. Now, I did hear rumors that some of the game mechanics, like stamina, archery, were updated and made a little bit more smooth. If you've ever played Oblivion, you know that like some of the game mechanics itself are rather clunky and unforgiving. So getting those updated, I would expect them to actually go ahead and do that. So we'll probably see some minor changes to like gameplay mechanics that were considered kind of painful at the time to deal with. And more modernize them and make them a little bit more forgiving, updated visuals as well, and possibly mod support, but I wouldn't really bank too much on it. I think just getting the opportunity to revisit Cyrodiil with updated graphics would be nice. That's kind of where my expectations are with this. If we do end up getting some kind of mod support, that's just going to be gravy for me. But I've been seeing a lot of speculation about this. Also, a lot of speculation about like updated mechanics. I do expect them to kind of address some of the more clunky mechanics. And hope wise, I hope they kept a lot of the original voice acting in the original quests. In fact, I hope they kept it all and didn't redo any of that and just upgraded the graphics and maybe tweaked a little bit of the mechanics that were kind of clunky and chunky. But that's basically the news for today. We have a lot of wild speculation that Starfield is going to be coming to PlayStation relatively shortly. We do see a little bit of evidence for that. But that also could just be, some kind of bug on their website that's occurring. And then we also have this announcement about a remake of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Also very wildly kind of speculative. Sources are not completely clear, and there's no word from Bethesda on either of these. But both of these I consider something that they do plan on doing. The Oblivion remake, we have that court document that kind of pointed to it. So I do expect that to happen, especially with others reporting it. And then there's just a lot of economic incentive in porting Starfield over to the PlayStation to get, more game sales there. But I do appreciate you watching this, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.